Evan was a perfectly ordinary young man. His mother had just died after being bedridden with cancer for years. At the bar where he worked, he met a bully who was deliberately looking for a fight. Due to grief and anger, Evan hit the other guy hard and injured him. As a result, he was fired by the boss. The blow in his life made him lose his confidence. Evan decided to leave America and head to Italy to relax. On his first night in Italy, he met Tom and Sam, who came from England. With their warm invitation, Ellen chose to travel with them in company. When they arrived at an Italian town, a wonderful woman in a red dress made Evan fall in love at first sight. His world also seemed to be filled with sunshine. And while they were drinking, Evan met the woman again. This time he chose to initiate a conversation. However, the woman offered to have an intimate relationship with him, which made Evan, who was miles away from home, feel scandalized. The first conversation did not go well, and the woman soon left. The next day, Evan decided to stay in the town to live. Then he parted with Tom and Sam, who planned to leave. And in order to support himself, he found a job on a farm. After that, Evan was wandering when he met the mystery woman again. It turned out that this girl, Louise, was a college student majoring in evolutionary genetics. The relative isolation of the indigenous people here was one of the materials for her research. Louise's liveliness made Evan love her more, and he eagerly wanted to get closer to Louise. And his candor, in the end, impressed Louise. After a drink, they strolled the streets and eventually had an intimate relationship. But after they fall asleep, something strange happened to Louise. When Evan woke up, Louise was no longer lying next to him. But Evan did not care. Then, he began work under the instructions of the farm owner Angelo. While Louise wore dark contact lenses to cover the eerie green color of her right eye. Besides, her skin started to break out and Louise had to inject herself with medication immediately. After a long day at work, Evan met Louise at an ice cream shop. They then went to Louise's house together. Evan saw 2 rabbits here and discovered that Louise is very fluent in many languages. Her house was also covered with calendars about the evolution of species. As they chatted, Louise noticed that she was having trouble with her skin again. So, she quickly took the medicine and ran to the bathroom for treatment. Inside the bathroom, Louise transformed into a werewolf. After injecting herself with medicine, the tiny bathtub was dripping with blood. Louise tried to hide her abnormality by explaining that she had taken a bath. But before he left, Alan found the needle in the bathroom. After returning to the farm, Evan told Angelo, the owner of the farm, about his encounter with Louise. After hearing about the unfathomable mystery of Louise's, Angelo told Evan that mystery is also a kind of beauty. When Evan met with Louise again that night, he couldn't help but talk about the discarded needle that he saw in the bathroom. Louise told Evan that it was just a kind of medicine that she was taking, not the drug. After hearing the answer, Evan felt relieved and took out his cell phone to take a picture with Louise. But Louise was very resistant to this. She changed the subject and asked about Evan's parents. Evan did not want to talk about it, which made Louise a little unhappy. She then chose to leave. Seeing this, Evan immediately went after her and told Louise the truth about the death of all her parents. Louise was a bit apologetic upon hearing this, and she then took her contact lenses off, allowing Evan to see her green right eye. But Evan did not find it weird at all, and even thought it was very beautiful. They also had a long chat on the silent beach. The next day, someone smelled something strange on Louise. She lifted her shirt and found that her armpits had begun to fester. And since all the medicine to maintain stability were used up, she had to eat her 2 rabbits in a secluded spot. But the effect was minimal. Although Louise returned home, she was very weak. Evan came back soon after and took good care of her, which made Louise very touched. So, after she had recovered, she took Evan out on a cruise. They arrived at a cave that the tourists didn't know about. But the sightseeing drained Louise's energy, and before dinner was over, she found her body beginning to break down. Louise had to say goodbye to her lover in a hurry, but on her way home, she collapsed on the side of the road due to physical exhaustion. Seeing this, a man wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to rape Louise, but never thought he would be killed. Considering that she was becoming more and more dangerous, Louise soon proposed to Evan to break up, which caught Evan unable to accept. He tried to salvage their relationship, but Louise's attitude was so firm that Evan had no choice but to leave. The next day, the heartbroken Evan then told the farmer Angelo that he and his girlfriend had broken up and he intended to leave the town. But at night, watching couples kissing in the bar, Evan could not help but come to Louise's house. Through the cracks he saw a mess at home. So, he then broke open the door. However, Evan found that Louise had turned into an octopus-like monster, struggling constantly on the floor. At this point, Louise was not conscious, stabbed Evan, but Evan still picked up the needle on the ground and injected the medicine for Louise. Soon, Louise regained her human form with the help of medicine. Evan did not leave her, but Louise still did not give Evan an explanation, which made Evan very angry. Evan pushed the door open and left. Louise hurriedly followed him out and told Evan the truth. Louise has been alive for over 2,000 years. Every 20 years, she would get pregnant, and then terminate her pregnancy to obtain her own embryonic stem cells and reproduce herself. Louise also obtained much more stem cells by hunting animals. But in the process of cell transformation, she also became a monster. And in order to keep Evan from being hurt, she chose to break up with Evan. Such a truth was too much for Evan to accept. But after calming down, Evan still realized that if he missed Louise, he may not be able to meet true love again in this life. So, Evan chose to stay with Louise, but Louise was still hesitant. Because reincarnation can keep her young forever. She did not want to watch Evan grow old and did not want to give up eternal life for her lover. But Evan, in order to convince Louise, then decided to stay with her until she makes her own choice. Since Evan had already gotten Louise pregnant for 6 days, the transformation would be completed in another 24 hours. They then drove on the road for a day of sightseeing. But while they were at church, Louise unintentionally showed up in her original form. Seeing this, Evan hurriedly urged Louise to inject the medicine and dragged her out of the church. Then Evan saw the records about Louise in various eras in the art museum. He also learned that after the transformation was completed, Louise would have a new body and her appearance would be changed. If Louise fell in love with Evan, the hormones in her body would fuse with the stem cells. She would then maintain her original form and give birth to a child. But she would lose the ability to live forever. During the conversation, the out-of-control Louise almost attacked Evan. But the frightened Evan did not escape. After Louise injected the last tube of medicine, Evan accompanied Louise to the cliff of the monument where was a city that flooded by lava 2,000 years ago. With the cold moonlight, Louise told Evan that her mother lost her immortality when she fell in love with her father. They both died in that volcanic eruption 2,000 years ago. And since she inherited the ability to live forever from her mother, she was the only one who survived. Louise finally warned Evan that she would become an irrational and aggressive monster when the transformation came. By then, Evan must be far away from her. But until this moment, Evan still remained undaunted. He still hoped to use his actions to make Louise fall in love with himself and thus give up eternal life. With the sunrise, Evan again told Louise about the life that was not eternal but full of happiness and joy. And when Evan bowed his head again, Louise had already made her choice. She was willing to give up eternal life for an ordinary man. Just like her mother, she gave up eternal life for love. Alright, that's all for the video. Thanks for your support, see you next time.